All right, so the next project we're moving on to is I'm going to build my own personal custom mini bike. And I'm going to do it using mostly parts from this bike. So the parts that I'm actually going to use from this bike are going to be, one, the engine, which is a probably 18 to 20 horse. Once I get that out, I'll talk about what's in there for people who want to know. Wheels and tires, maybe the headlight, throttle assemblies, sprocket, the foot pegs are some nice ones. So I'm just going to basically take this thing completely apart and just take the parts that I need to build this bike and throw everything else in the corner for now. What I'm going to be building with all this is a full suspension mini bike. So I have some parts for that. Well, I guess I'll show you. We have a rear spring. We have the front. We have the front forks. We're gonna make the triple tree assembly for these. These are sport guards. We got a set of handlebars. These are pro taper mini bends. We got scooter brakes front and rear. I got some pro taper bar clamps. I got some disc brake rotors. And here's the rear disc brakes. I mean, foot operated disc brake in the rear. I got a muffler, just some parts. It's probably not everything. Oh, I also have a seat. I have two options for seats, actually. This is from a Megamoto 212. It's the big Megamoto bike. Pro 212 or whatever it is. So that's one option for a seat. And the second option is this guy here, which is from a Grom. So we'll see. I think this is the comfier seat for sure. I don't know. This one probably wouldn't be too bad either. But we'll see when we get to that point. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So it's time to go tear down this bike. Got this thing all torn down now, and I just wanted to go over what's in this engine or some of the performance mods basically on the mini bike. First thing I wanted to point out was this belt I've been running for a couple of years now, and it's a Comet belt. It held up really well. I mean, this thing has a lot of power. It was definitely going out. I mean, there's a big spot right there where it definitely took a chunk out, and the rest of this is all, yeah, this belt is done. So, but it lasted quite a while. The other thing I have on my mini bike modification, which was a huge one, was I put the aluminum weights in the 30 series driver, and that brought the engagement up to about 3,000 RPM. It's a little aggressive, but it's nice because when you're trail riding, you can really rev it up and get up in the RPMs and climb hills, no problem. Also, it also makes it so it doesn't want to wheelie as much, which kind of is lame, but also nice for actually riding. The other thing I have is I have a 62 sprocket on the rear, so this thing is geared pretty low, and I got that stall in there. So here's the engine in question. It is a Predator 212. It's got the arc billet side cover. It's got this cool NR Racing aluminum valve cover, but the head's been milled 30 thousandths. It's got big valves in it, dual springs. It's got a 265 cam. It's got a billet rod. I think it's a longer one too, so to bring the piston up closer. Oh yeah, it is. So when I built this, it came out, the piston comes up to 0 deck. So that means the piston is completely flush with the head, or flush with the cylinder head mounting surface. So then all you have left for combustion is actually in the combustion chamber, which on Hemis is a lot of volume. That's why a lot of people don't build Hemis. So I guess I forgot to mention that this is a Hemi head. But yeah, it's got big valves, bronze guides, dual springs, titanium retainers, all that stuff. And it's got 265 cam. It's got this billet aluminum side cover. It's got the billet aluminum flywheel. And the big one, the 24 millimeter Mikuni. That is huge for performance. That 24 millimeter flat slide has got to be about the best carburetor you can get for a 212 that has some pretty good mods done to it. Other than that, yeah, this is the power plant. Some people would probably say it's like 20 horsepower. I don't know. I kind of conservatively say maybe 18 horsepower. It pulls pretty hard. But yeah, this is the platform basically for this build. I got a really good engine, so now I want a bike that can handle it instead of like the Coleman with 0 suspension and it's just rattling you to death. So yeah. Oh yeah, another thing I like to do. So I buy these do-it-yourself spark plug wire kits all the time, or quite frequently for some of my hot rods and whatnot. And I always have some wire left over, so I built a Taylor 8mm spark plug wire, and that just threads into the stock coil. So yep, that's it. This is what the bike's going to be built around. One thing I might want to do, actually, is to build... I'm considering this. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. I'm thinking about building an elbow for this intake, so the intake points back in this direction more, but we'll see. That's one of the downsides of this whole setup is, you know, you have the air filter, or the carburetor, just exposed to the world, and it's sticking way out there, so it can get banged up on things, or it can get ripped off. They get ripped off. This one hasn't in a while. It's on here really good, but they can get ripped off pretty easily. And yeah, it's just not ideal to have that much carburetor sticking out the side of it, because it's pretty much it's a little past the actual pull cord, you know, the side of the engine, and the filter is way out there. So yeah, pretty excited to get this bike built. So now I got all my parts off of that bike. I'm gonna put all the stuff away, and then we're gonna start on the frame. so here's what I got going on here. This is going to be the base plate that the engine sits on. Take this out of here. Oh, geez. It's a tight fit. So I got these two slugs. They're going to go on each side. But first I need to go and I need to bevel the ends here so that I have a nice little groove, a V groove, if you will, for the weld to go into. So it will adhere to the slug and the pipe. So I need to do that. But anyways, I want to show you guys, this is basically going to be it. This is where the engine is going to sit on here. And then the head tube is going to connect right here. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the back. See, here's how the head tube was going to connect. Basically, I'll probably notch it so that it slides over and it comes around here. But then in the back, on another bike we built, we had this kind of come out and then bend up around the engine. But that kind of was a little problematic, so we might have to switch up that design. But for sure, I like this engine plate design. This is a good base to build everything off of. This is going to receive a piece of 1/4-inch plate that sits on here. And we're going to try to make it so it's totally flush on the top. And then everything will be built off of this. So I'm going to bevel these, get these slugs in here, weld it up, and then I got to work on cutting the 1/4-inch plate to fit on here. We got a slight amount of torque converter interference, but you know, I think I'm gonna actually cut the torque converter plate so that it's flat. Otherwise, I gotta put a riser on here, which is doable. I have a riser, so I could put this riser on here. And then that's plenty of clearance for everything. You'll have to think about that one. I'm not sure. I didn't really want to run a riser. What I can do is I can knock the bottom of the torque converter off, you know, cut the back of the plate, and then we wouldn't have a clearance issue there. Yeah, not sure yet. We'll see. All right, so for me, it came down to, do I want to add a weight by adding that riser, or do I want to delete some weight by cutting some out of the torque converter? So that's what we did. I got just the tiniest little gap under there. Should work perfectly. So, well, that's not going to go back in easily. But, you know, you get the point. It's, having the engine lower in the chassis, I think, is more important than keeping the bottom of this plate, because it does nothing. The cover will still go over it, just as it did before, so shouldn't be an issue at all. In fact, it should be perfect, because this guy is going to sit here, and it's still going to be above the bottom of the frame, just a little bit, hopefully. But yeah, so, and then we got enough room. We got enough room on the front to put this tube. It's going to get a notch in it. It's going to fit there perfectly, hopefully. And in the back, see, this is where we, you know, we wanted this single tube design on the previous one, so we took and we put a tube like this, and then we built it up around the head and brought it forward, and it looks awesome, it works awesome. But then, you know, especially on this one, since I'm trying to build it smaller, I don't have the room, because mounting the swing arm would be tough in this situation without it being a lot longer than it needs to be. So my goal is to have the swing arm mount either directly behind the output of the torque converter, directly in line with it, so we don't have any chain slack issues, or directly in line with it, actually right behind it. So I'm not sure yet if that's even possible, but I don't know. We're gonna give it a shot, see what we need to do. But back here, I think we're gonna go with a 1-inch frame rail that's gonna bend up and come around here. And it'll be two of them, two arms like this, and then that will come up and meet the backbone, which will be about here, and the head tube will be out here, you know. So yeah, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.